A crash, an explosion,
Boom!
flames and debris.
Felt like this in a war.
7 homes destroyed and 7 people injured after a car slams into a house in Old East Village. The impact setting off an explosion and reducing 1 home to rubble.
In my career, I haven't seen an explosion of that magnitude. It was significant.
The blast could be felt in homes many blocks away, with the sound echoing out across much of the city.
It was loud. It was just loud. I would never forget a noise like that.
And now a woman is facing drunk driving charges in relation to the crash.
A female was arrested at scene. She's currently facing a number of charges in relation to impaired operation of the motor vehicle.
Dozens of families displaced.
They didn't tell me how long, I don't know. I'm just trying to get back in to get some clothes.
But in a huge show of support, residents and businesses rallied together to assist those needing help.
Felt I needed to do something, and this is something I can do.
This is CTV News.
Good evening. We start tonight in those chaotic first moments. Londoners fleeing smoke-clogged streets and firefighters battling a blaze that threatened a whole neighborhood. Fear, anger, and moments of bravery after an explosion shattered a quiet summer night in East London. CTV's Daryl Newcomb was on the scene as the real-life drama unfolded. He takes us inside the evacuation zone.
Sheer devastation caught on cell phone video as firefighters got to work in a debris-filled street. Neighbors watched helplessly as flames spread from one home to the next, just moments after they heard a massive explosion.
Boom! And you see the, like the electricity pole, one of them things that's on a pole, it was flew right up here.
Went around the corner, and that's when I saw the flames through the trees.
As thick smoke filled the air, the streets clogged with emergency crews, displaced residents, and onlookers. City Hall began directing people to the Carling Heights Optimist Community Center.
We've evacuated people out to the street, to Dundas, just for everybody's safety. At this time, we're really unsure what we're dealing with.
What police knew at the time was shortly after 10:30, a car crashed into the home at 450 Woodman Avenue, damaging the gas meter. Less than 15 minutes after emergency crews arrived on the scene, a massive explosion shook the area, setting neighboring homes on fire.
And we come out and seen all the sparks in the sky and looked down the street and we could see the flames.
According to firefighters, this is a particularly challenging scene because debris from the explosion is actually blown out onto the street, making it more difficult for them to find angles to attack the fire.
The smoke can be toxic. We recommend that if you are in the area that you shelter in place. Police are going door to door currently, and we're working on evacuating the area.
People collectively held their breath as injured firefighters were taken to hospital to be assessed. Their bravery recounted again and again.
There was firefighters that told us to get back, and they were getting closer to the house to get that lady out. So I'm hoping that they're safe.
Police arrested and charged a Kitchener woman in the car with impaired driving. Daryl Newcomb, CTV News.
It all unfolded very quickly, and for people in the immediate area, their lives changed suddenly. Dozens of families are displaced. One firefighter is still in hospital with serious injuries as a massive investigation gets underway. CTV's Brian Bicknell is live on scene. Still a very busy area this hour. Brian, what's going on there right now?
Well, Sasha, things have certainly quieted down quite a bit here, but however, as you said, there is still a lot of activity, and we've got a really good look at this. Just a scene of devastation in behind me on Woodman Avenue. You can see total destruction out there, and it's not just a number of houses that have been destroyed or burned, also a number of cars. We see them removing them from the street right now, but one thing is for certain. Last night's event on Woodman Avenue will have a lasting impact on the residents of the Old East Village.
I thought the tree came down on my house. So first thing it shook like crazy, like just about fell off the couch. My side door and my back door, they're unlocked. Literally popped open.
Less than 10 minutes after a car crashed into a home on Woodman Ave, the gas line to the damaged home exploded. Michael Peckham, after assisting in getting the unconscious driver out, turns his attention to his neighbors.
And then I was in the house getting the two elderly neighbors, and then all of a sudden, all the windows imploded in their house. And yeah, it was pretty scary.
Today, Michael is being praised as a hero by local MPPs. In a statement, Terence Kernahan, Teresa Armstrong, and Peggy Sattler praised Peckham's quick thinking. The family of the elderly couple who came to retrieve some medications for the couple who are in their 90s spoke about how the neighborhood looks out for each other.
And the neighbors rush over, to get them because they know they're very old, and they take care of them, because they've been in the neighborhood for a long time, and they love them, so they help them out.
Once on the street, it was a scene described by neighbors as a war zone.
Flames, I'll never forget. They were higher than the houses. They were at least four stories high. I knew that the destruction was pretty intense, and I had anticipated that there'd probably be more than one house destroyed for sure.
Many of the residents returned to the scene early this morning, trying to gain access to their homes and retrieve items they need for what could be a prolonged displacement.
Well, at first they said I could stay if I wanted to, but then at 12:30 they came knocking on the door and said I have to leave. So they didn't tell me how long. I don't know. I'm just trying to get back in to get some clothes.
City building inspectors were on scene this afternoon to ensure the structural integrity of some of the homes before anyone is allowed to return. Merrick Sutherland, CTV News.
And thank you for that. Merrick Sutherland reporting for us tonight, and also police saying that with a number of residents displaced, they will have forces of police on patrolling the area to keep homes safe, so they're going to be here, it looks like, at 24/7. Meantime, not soon after the accident caused this chain of events to take place, police took the driver into custody, and early this morning a number of impaired-related driving charges were laid. Jerry Dewan spent much of the morning on the scene and files this report for us.
Comments on our CTV London Facebook page expressed anger and disappointment that impaired driving charges had been laid.
These tragedies live with people for the rest of their lives.
Mary Rodriguez is president of the London chapter of Mothers Against Drunk Driving. She lost her son to a drinking and driving incident 11 years ago. She says while people think about those most immediately affected, the impact is much more far-reaching, with her greatest concern for children in the area.
It's what those witnesses, what the neighbors, what they had to see, those memories are there now, imprinted in them for a lifetime.
Neighbors say the vehicle traveled the wrong way down Queens Ave, a one-way street, driving straight into the home. 23-year-old Kitchener resident Daniela Alexandra Reese is facing 5 impaired driving-related charges. Acting Deputy Fire Chief Jack Burt says emergency crews see far too many tragedies related to drinking and driving, like this crash on Highbury Ave 3 years ago that took multiple lives.
This is a prime example of how drinking and driving can turn wrong very quickly. This is a direct result of somebody that got it behind a wheel that was drinking.
The jacket of the firefighter most seriously injured in the explosion remained at the corner of Queens Ave and Ontario Street for much of the day, surrounded by medical supplies used to treat him on scene. Mary Rodriguez says the hard truth is that after years of decline, drinking and driving statistics have leveled off and haven't changed for a decade.
Back when I became a victim, it was an average of 4 people every day in Canada are being killed. And 175 injured, and those numbers have not gone down.
Police say Lise has been released from custody and will appear in court on September 4th. Jerry Dewan, CTV News.
First responders say training helped them react quickly for what transpired on Woodman Avenue late last night as officers and firefighters rushed to the scene.
We received the call at approximately 10:35 p.m. and we're here very, very quickly.
Police have an emergency management committee that holds regular meetings and exercises. It's a chance to collaborate with other first responders, including paramedics and firefighters. Acting Deputy Fire Chief Jack Burt says the joint training was a factor in the outcome at the scene as there were no critical injuries or fatalities. Burt is also asking residents of London to be prepared for these kinds of emergencies.
Here last night, I think people realized that they may not have been as prepared as they could have been. People did evacuate their homes very quickly. They were able to get out, but we're still receiving calls where people need to get back into their homes to get prescriptions, stuff of that nature. And that's why it's so important to make sure you have that information with you so you can go somewhere else if it's a prolonged stay away from your home.
In a news conference this morning, London's mayor acknowledged that the outcome could have been much worse had it not been for the swift actions of our first responders. Both Mayor Ed Holder and Deputy Mayor Jesse Helmer join us now. First off, Mayor, there is a lot of destruction out there. This is a huge mess to clean up. How is City Hall prepared to help residents in the long term?
Well, we've been meeting literally since the incident began over the last 20 hours and how we deal with that. So what we've been doing at the Emergency Response Center is bringing our great team together, which includes our first responders who are so amazing on scene, and what they did was incredible. So we've been meeting, we've had a series of meetings since that's happened to make sure that we don't miss a step. So whether it means the initial reception when we brought people to the Carling Heights Center, to Boyle Community Center today later on, to finding accommodation for those folks who really needed it at the time. We're working 24/7 at this point to provide all the services that these folks need to have.
Mayor, you have singled out our first responders. What is your impression of their efforts?
Well, I have to tell you, when I was at Boyle today with Deputy Mayor Helmer, you'd speak to folks and they just couldn't speak enough of how our first responders dealt with them. I mean, they were so quick on scene. It was incredible what they did. They were, we had our police, and minutes later we had our fire and EMS, and the evacuation process, if they hadn't done it as quickly as they had done today, we wouldn't be talking about no fatalities today. So thanks to their incredible efforts, honestly, it's a better story than it could have otherwise been.
Absolutely. Deputy Mayor Helmer, you live not far from Woodman Avenue. What did you experience last night?
Well, it was frightening. I thought that a tree had fallen on my house. I walked out on my porch and I saw this huge plume of smoke and fire in the sky. So, I called 911, I think, with everybody else in the neighborhood, and obviously there was an explosion. We're so lucky that the first responders and the residents were so quick to act that they got everybody out of the way before the explosion happened, and that injuries were relatively minor. It's because of their great work that we have the relatively good result that we see today. And I think the community's really come together, and I'm really proud of how they have responded.
What is it like to have something like this happen in your neighborhood?
Well, it's devastating. It's a very difficult situation, especially for the folks who are most directly impacted. And I think everyone is trying to pull together now to figure out what we need to do together as a community to help everybody out, because there's what they need immediately. There's the initial support, getting people into accommodations, food and clothing. But then there's the medium-term stuff. Some of these homes are severely damaged, and no one's going to be returning to them anytime soon. So we need to figure out what they're going to do over the next few weeks and months.
So can I add to that, Jesse? If there's one thing that I noticed, I know you saw too when we were at Boyle Community Center today, an incredible spirit. I mean, you imagine these folks from Woodman Ave, but this whole area here in Old East Village, and you know what they've gone through, but their resilience, their strength of character, that really showed. And how did Londoners respond? They just wrapped their arms around them, and we saw food, we saw drinks, we saw so many folks even setting up financial support for them. But it was just other Londoners' way of saying, we care about you and we thank you for inspiring us. And that's what Old East Village did today.
It has been an amazing show of support. Okay, thank you both for your time tonight. Brian Bicknell joins us once again with a look at some of the individuals helping out. Brian.
Indeed, Sasha. So many businesses, individuals, organizations, and agencies stepping up to do their part in the aftermath of this tragedy here in the Old East Village. So many that I can't even mention them all, but I did manage to get around today to a few of them to see how they're doing their part. So many residents suddenly found themselves in need. The Boyle Community Center quickly became a hub.
I think they're tired. They're obviously confused, upset.
City spokeswoman Sandra Daters-Beer says those with nowhere to go are being put up for the night.
We're suggesting they check out their insurance to make sure that might be an option for them, checking with families and friends as well. But where none of those options exist, we would be able to at least house them for one night.
Many businesses quickly jumped in to help. At Shelby's Food Express, they wanted to make sure no one went hungry.
It was such a tragedy. Whenever something bad like this happens, if we heard about it,
if we hear about it, Shelby's wants to come out, help out. So I'm here today to find where these people are so I can help and see if they need any food.
And many left their homes in a hurry, in some cases with nothing but the clothes on their backs. A number of businesses are taking donations of basic household supplies.
Well, I mean, this is our neighborhood too, and these are people that are in here all the time, and it was only a couple hundred meters from here, so everyone's been affected by it. And we just want to help in any way we can.
And nearby the site, Corporate Investigation Services invited first responders to take a load off.
And you know what? Using the washroom is a really big deal. So just easy access to a comfortable, quiet space for them to sit. You know, there's some couches here, always hot coffee and some treats.
Once residents are allowed back into their homes, Donaldson Heating and Cooling has volunteered to check their gas lines for safety.
Obviously, being 4 blocks away this morning, I drove by it on my way into work this morning at 3. And felt I needed to do something, and this is something I can do.
And I should also mention that Libro Financial Services has started up a bank account for the fire victims, and they've got the ball rolling with a $10,000 donation, and anyone who wants to contribute to that can do so at any Libro branch here in London and in the area. So again, Sasha, so much goodwill today in the aftermath of this tragedy here in Old East. Back to you.
Some wonderful stories emerging, so great to hear. Thank you, Brian, rounding out our team coverage tonight. To recap now, at the height of the fire, more than 50 firefighters were on scene. Among those injured, 4 firefighters. 3 were released from hospital. 1 remains in hospital in serious but stable condition. 2 police officers were also taken to hospital, treated and released. 1 resident has also suffered injuries. 7 homes have been destroyed. Police currently have about 100 homes evacuated in an area spanning from Quebec Street to Charlotte Street and Dundas Street to Lorne Avenue. We have had a team of reporters on this story covering it on radio and online all day long. On our website, you'll be able to see aerial video from our CTV chopper, the full news conference from earlier today, as well as links to organizations helping those who have been displaced from their homes. All of that and more can be found on our website, ctvnewslondon.ca. Meteorologist Julie Acheson joins us now for your first look at weather. Julie, some really pleasant conditions out there tonight.
Yeah, conditions across our area this afternoon, Sasha, have become increasingly humid, especially Windsor, Essex, Chatham, Kent, Elgin County. We're just starting to see that humidity build back in, not making its way to Midwestern Ontario just yet. We have had some scattered showers in Middlesex County. We've had some severe weather in through Windsor, Essex, so some storm action. Right now you can see temperatures anywhere from 18 to 19 degrees in Midwestern Ontario, but 21 to 22. It is feeling like 31 in Windsor, feeling like 29 in Chatham, Kent. Again, that humidity has not yet moved into Midwestern Ontario, but it will. The scattered showers and thunderstorms, the risk will continue tonight. We still have some light rainfall right now in southern Bruce County. The probability of storm action, about a 40% chance over the next few hours. We just can't rule it out. The air mass is unstable. As we push through the next few hours, the temperature will hold in the low 20s. Overnight, comfortable conditions, but as we move toward the weekend, still unsettled. We have an area of low pressure moving by to the south of the Great Lakes tonight, spawning the active weather. We'll take a look at your weekend weather forecast. We'll be in and out of showers and thunderstorms. I'll put it all together for you coming up a little later in the show. Sasha?
Okay, thanks, Julie. In other news, the Prime Minister is accepting responsibility but not apologizing after Canada's ethics watchdog ruled he violated the Conflict of Interest Act in the SNC-Lavalin scandal. The findings show Trudeau inappropriately pressured his former Attorney General to help the engineering giant avoid a criminal prosecution. CTV's Kevin Gallagher has more on how this could affect the Liberals' chances of re-election.
Seeps out. A day after the damning ethics report, the Prime Minister is not backing down. Justin Trudeau still refuses to apologize for breaking the rules.
I disagree with the Ethics Commissioner's conclusions, but he is an officer of Parliament who's doing his job, and I fully accept his report.
In his report, Ethics Commissioner Mario Dion found the evidence showed there were many ways in which Mr. Trudeau, either directly or through the actions of those under his direction, sought to influence the Attorney General.
Right now, the Liberal leader is on the ropes.
Pollsters say with 67 days left until the election, this issue could dominate the campaign.
For a Liberal Party that's built their whole brand and success around one person, this has to be very troubling for them.
Despite that, key cabinet members are backing the Prime Minister.
In my role as Finance Minister, I will always be advocating on behalf of Canadians, on behalf of Canadians' jobs, on behalf of pensioners.
When the scandal broke in February, the Liberals dropped 7 points in the polls. Trudeau maintains he was trying to protect more than 9,000 SNC-Lavalin workers when he asked Jody Wilson-Raybould to consider intervening in the company's criminal case. In the aftermath, Wilson-Raybould and her friend Jane Philpott resigned from cabinet and then were booted from the Liberal caucus. Now running as an independent, Philpott says Trudeau needs to apologize to Canadians.
When you see it there so clearly presented in black and white, it's something that I think Canadians are disappointed to realize.
Conservative leader Andrew Scheer wants the RCMP to investigate. Today, the Force says it's examining the facts carefully.
Quite clearly, Justin Trudeau still can't tell the difference between right and wrong. He's still denying that he has anything to take responsibility for.
An emergency ethics committee meeting has been called for next week at the request of opposition parliamentarians who want to hear more from Commissioner Dion. Kevin Gallagher, CTV News, Ottawa.
The province has announced sweeping changes to the way we recycle. Environment Minister Jeff Yurek made the announcement this morning. The Blue Box program is getting a complete makeover, and within the next 4 years, it will be funded entirely by the producers of products and packaging. As it stands now, municipalities and companies each pay half of recycling costs. When the new program is fully implemented, producers will pay the full amount and be responsible for pickup and processing. Still ahead, insect menu, the future of crickets as a food source. And Badgers begin. The London Badgers await a primetime pitch to begin their pursuit of a three-peat. Billion people around the world rely on insects as a main part of their daily diet. In North America, consumers are just starting to get on board, which is why one man quit his job as a graphic designer to start a cricket farm in Owen Sound. CTV's Scott Miller has more in this week's Fields to Forks feature.
So the other really interesting thing about the industry,
Joe Schuldeis is busy feeding his flock of insects, crickets to be precise, 250,000 of them.
There's about a little under 10,000 in each of these boxes here.
In a 1,300 square foot unit in a nondescript Owen Sound Industrial Park lies Yes Crickets, Joe Schuldeis' midlife transformation. A little over a year ago, he quit his job as a New York graphic designer to take a stab at cricket farming.
These crickets breed to provide the next generation. The crickets, when they're harvested, go out as food, so that's either dry roasted and then flavored. So just make sure they're crunchy. It's perfect.
2 billion people worldwide eat insects as part of their daily diet. That number will need to rise dramatically, according to a 2013 United Nations report that suggests current protein production, beef, pork, and chicken, isn't scalable to feed the world's population as early as 2050.
So they pointed to insects as like a great, not a magic bullet, but it's a great solution for some of this. So environmentally, equal amounts of protein versus a cow. The crickets only use about 2% of the water. They use an eighth of the land, and they emit 1% of the methane. So
they're healthy for you too.
Protein always steals the show because they're super high in protein, so it's an awesome source of that. B12, tons of B12 in there. There's iron, there's calcium. The flavor, the texture.
Shouldice does everything at Yes Crickets. His animals live 4 to 6 weeks before being harvested. Essentially, they fall asleep in a freezer. Then Shouldice dehydrates them and they're ready to eat. He packages and flavors them here as well. Au natural, barbecue, sriracha lime, and lemon pepper. He's selling them at farmers markets, directly to restaurants, as well as online.
I'm sold out, well into the generation after these guys.
So this is the moment of truth. We're gonna try our first cricket. Oh yeah, that's good.
Shouldice's goal is to reach 1.5 million crickets, but he's happy with his 250,000 today, building slowly and surely, ready to feed a curious and hungry world. In Owen Sound, Scott Miller, CTV News.
To see this feature and dozens more, go to our website, ctvnewslondon.ca, and click on Fields to Forks. West Grey police say a canoeist who went missing on a private lake in Normandy Township has been found dead. The 55-year-old man was reported missing after failing to return from a canoe trip on Wednesday. His body was pulled from the water last night. London police, meantime, are looking for a man after 3 pharmacy robberies in the city. In each case, police say the man claimed he had a weapon and demanded narcotics before fleeing with medication and property. The incidents all occurred midday, but in different parts of the city. Investigators believe that the same man is responsible for all 3 robberies. He is described as Caucasian, between 30 and 40 years of age. He is about 6 feet tall with a heavy build and a full beard. The man was wearing a baseball cap each time. The Canadian Baseball Championships are underway in London. 9 teams have already begun play, but the London Badgers are waiting until prime time for game time. CTV's Brent Lale caught up with the boys, who are looking to continue the program's winning tradition.
It's a huge stage. I mean, teams all across Canada, it's going to be nervous. You know, you're playing for a gold medal, the best team in Canada. That's the ultimate goal.
With the Canadian Championships in their own backyard this year, the London Badgers and manager Mike Lumley were going over some final game situations before their opener.
Tuning up our swings, tuning up our ground balls, getting them perfect so we cannot make errors on the field.
London is looking for its 3rd straight title. 2 years ago, they won as hosts at Labatt Park. Last season, they won in dramatic fashion in Fort McMurray, Alberta.
Them going back-to-back hopefully carry on their legacy and getting the 3rd one in a row.
We have a very strong physical team. We have some experience, as most of the pitchers, especially the starting guys, were with us last year and were major contributors through at Fort McMurray. So, experience holds a lot for sure when you get into these events, because it's usually the mental side, it's not the physical side that kind of brings you onto the finals.
Tournament action is already underway, but the Badgers kick things off with the opening ceremonies at 6:30, followed by their first game at 7:30.
There's a lot of great talent here, not just on our team, but all the teams. There's guys that were in the Canada Cup, some guys were on the junior national team, so you're going to see a large amount of talent here throughout all of the teams, so should be really good baseball, nice and tight, and high energy.
The championship tournament wraps up late Sunday night at Labatt Park. Brent Lale, CTV News.
And Julie returns with your full weather forecast. And Julie, we've seen some showers today in southwestern Ontario.
Yeah, we've had some thunderstorms bubbling up. Once again, not everyone picking up storm action, not everyone seeing rainfall, but the conditions will remain unsettled as we push through the evening. Skies will be mainly cloudy. And yes, we do have still some showers around. That probability of showers at about a 40% chance.